Hi, this is Ed from SGU TV, and today we have a very special guest, Dr. Richard Olds. Richard Olds, right?
Yes, that's true.
All right, so the thing is that we're here to ask him a series of questions. The first question today is, what are some special projects that SGU has going on right now?
Well, if you look toward the future, there is both some internal things that are taking place in the university, and then there's some external things, so I'll try to comment on both. Internally, I really think our university has made its name and its international reputation by basically focusing on student success. Having been dean of a U.S. medical school, I can tell you that most U.S. medical schools, and for that matter most medical schools in the world, don't do a lot to focus on student success. Students are assigned to a particular curriculum. If they do well, great. If they don't do well, too bad. We have actually over the years focused very much on helping each and every one of our students succeed. And so I think you'll see that we are going to do an even greater job of doing that in the future. You've noticed that we've already introduced what are somewhat more radical ideas. It didn't make sense to me that a student that was struggling in a large lecture format, we would just put them back in the large lecture format a second time. So we created a small lecture or a small group format for students that were struggling in that. I think you'll see that we are challenging a lot of the traditional precepts of education and trying to make this a better educational platform that has a higher success rate for all students. Lectures are not always the best way to communicate information, so I think we'll be looking to decrease the number of lectures that we have and increase the other learning activities like small groups that could be either doing case-based learning, which a lot of students do now, but also problem-based learning, where the students themselves are assigned projects to go out and look up the information, and in a sense the students teach each other in the setting of a preceptor. So I think you'll see a lot of educational changes internally. Externally, I think you'll see that we are becoming more of a truly international medical school. And we will be recruiting more students from around the world. And even in the United States, where still the majority of our students come from, we're going to try to develop clinical partners that are closer to where our students are actually coming from. So we've had a fairly heavy evidence emphasis in New Jersey and New York. We'll continue that. But 20%, 21% of our students come from California. We need a much higher clinical training platform there so that truly we can recruit students from a geographic area and have them return for a major part of their education to where they come from. It's really what they want to do, and I think it'll help enhance their ability to go on and do residencies. I think the last thing you'll see is that we're expanding the scope of what we're doing. We're in the process of developing our own affiliated graduate medical education program so that in the future you could see an institution that not only is where our medical students are, but actually we have residency programs so that we could recruit kids from a geographic area. They could go back for their third and fourth year in that area, and then they could stay on and do residencies in that same area, particularly in areas where there are physician shortages. And our residency training programs will, of course, be in those very same fields. So I think those are all changes that you'll see in the future.
Okay, well, I've seen the retention rates, and I'll actually try to get a PDF or some type of other information later on. But already SGU is head and shoulders above the other schools when it comes to retention by a significant amount. So to try to improve on that, I think is going to be quite the task, but I think that you are up to it, sir. I think you've done an amazing job so far. The second question comes with, and I know that the school really has such a focus on the students, and I love it for that. But I know also the SGU has a strong commitment towards the community. Perhaps talking about local, national, international communities. I know that's something that you always speak about. So how is SGU planning on getting more involved in that regard?
Well, let's talk specifically about some of those communities because we already exist in some communities and we're going to try to do more there. And as I just described, we're going to be entering new communities where we think we can have a major impact. So let's just talk about Grenada. We're here in Grenada. As I look at our medical curriculum, I think one of the drawbacks is we do not have enough direct clinical exposure of our students in the first 2 years. And on the other hand, one of the reasons we're in Grenada is everyone speaks English. So this is a huge opportunity for our students to get directly involved in the care of patients, and clearly the Grenadian government would welcome the opportunity for us to enhance the delivery of healthcare. So I think you'll look for us to partner with the Grenadian government to provide better ambulatory-based primary care for which our students can be directly involved, having the dual benefit of being a great educational experience for our students, but also enhancing healthcare. And that theme of getting more involved in outpatient care is consistent with the way the medical education is going, moving increasingly away from hospitals and more into the community and into outpatient settings, since most healthcare is actually delivered in an outpatient setting, not in a hospital. I think you'll see in England, we've had a wonderful relationship in England. Recently, 2 changes that have had politically. They've eliminated the 50% rule, which used to make it, how ridiculous, an English student could not go to Northumbria because the GMC basically wouldn't allow to return as a physician unless they spent at least 2 years in the country where the school is registered, which is Grenada. Now that they've eliminated that, it's possible for an English student to do their first year in Northumbria, come to Grenada for a year, and then return and do all their clinical training there. In addition, we're actively working to basically eliminate the need for an internship to enter the graduate medical education pathway in England. So I think we have an opportunity to do a great deal in England to help the United Kingdom address its own primary care shortage, not only with students that come from Great Britain and the other, Scotland and Wales, etc., but also for international students to fill that gap. And that opportunity is particularly good because with Brexit, that gap has historically been filled by students from Eastern European schools, and now it's likely to be filled with students from the Commonwealth, which includes Grenada.
Sounds great.
In the United States, I think you'll see that we're increasingly partnering with federally qualified healthcare centers to develop that ambulatory-based and community-based teaching experience. And I think you'll see us reach out and try to create more recruitment from students from those areas where there are physician shortages, so that we can do an even better job than we've done historically in addressing our country's healthcare needs. And then finally, on the international arena, the physician shortage, the shortage of primary care doctors is almost a universal issue now. And I think you'll see us approaching many other countries in the world that have the same challenge and try to develop a way to recruit students and then return them to those countries to be physician leaders in the future. So I think you'll see all of those things as part of our future.
And one of the things that I think is so cool is that it's not just Dr. Joel's at the top speaking about these particular issues, but I think that your leadership really reflects all the way down through the faculty. Like recently I worked with Dr. Yarwood, some people say Yearwood, right? And she helped me to investigate expanding EMR throughout Grenada. And also I had a meeting today with Dr. Maya Smith from the Public Health Department. I'm trying to find out the top reasons for mortality rates across different age groups and trying to reduce that in Grenada. So the faculty have been so helpful. And Dr. Olds just giving this interview today is just so wonderful, and just really from the top down, I really feel this institution is really about making a difference. So talking about making a difference, I wanted to ask you, how can students today, students from the past, alumni, faculty, staff who are working here at the school, what can we do to help St. George's in its primary mission? Well,
historically, alumni have done a fantastic job of returning to the island of Grenada and helping deliver direct patient care, returning to Grenada and help educate their fellow students, returning to Grenada and providing interesting and exciting electives for the students to get them excited about many fields. And we want to keep doing those. Those are great things. But in the future, I think we're going to ask our alumni to be more involved in our expansion into some of the things that I just said. So as we begin to start new graduate medical education programs in the United States, we'd like to see our alumni get involved in those types of programs. As we talk about identifying areas of the country with severe physician shortages, because so many of our graduates are actually practicing in those areas, recall that 1% of all the practicing doctors in the United States are our alumni. So our alumni are everywhere, harnessing that resource to help address those healthcare needs through the support of the university and having our students and training programs do that is, I think, something that our alumni can be helping. And in the international arena, 30% of our student body are international students. So we actually have a fair number of alumni that are sprinkled around the world. We're going to be asking them to help open pathways so that students can return to those countries and practice medicine.
Okay. I really hope that I can be one of those people.
Great.
All right. So the last question is, what's SGU has a long history. I think they just celebrated about 40 years, right? So what's any little known facts about the school that people might not know?
Well, there's one thing that I didn't know before I took this job. I knew that if you were a foreign national, you virtually had no chance to get into a U.S. medical school.
Okay.
But what I didn't know is that the entire amount of foreign nationals who are enrolled in the roughly 150 U.S. medical schools today, that number is smaller than the number of international students that we enroll on an annual basis at St. George. So we actually train more international graduates at this school than all of the U.S. medical schools together. And I didn't know that. And when you think about it, since we're, in my opinion, the best of all the international schools, if you're a student from Japan or from Korea or from China or from Grenada or from Trinidad or from Botswana and you want a U.S. style medical education, this is the #1 place in the world to do it.
Can't argue that. I think it's great. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, that's it. Thanks for checking out SGU TV. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our other videos.